the numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Isn't it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host Bob Serrell, and I'm alone again this week. It's during this is the coronavirus era of the podcast. This is my first interview during, knowing what's going on. And my guest this week is the band Batfarm, Alexx, Calise, Dennis Morehouse. They have an EP out. It came out last year called Into the Belfry. They're working on new music now. We have a nice long chat, just kind of about what's going on with them. Just interesting times, and I'm glad they took the time to sit down and chat with me. Before we get there, I want to let you know that we're found on Facebook at the Nothing Shocking Podcast community fan page and Twitter at No Shock Pod. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Alexa, all your podcatchers. Subscribe to the show, rate and review the show. It does help us out. And that's all the main stuff. I want to thank the band Hong Kong Sleepover for letting us use their music. They're the intro and outro and bumpers. Thank them for letting us use that. And then our sponsors, Ragged Records, which, it's a terrible time for record stores right now. Terrible time for all of us, really. So we need to just kind of get through this. And, all the rock shows have been canceled for the time being. Hopefully this summer they can start going again. I'm curious how that's all going to play out. You got Def Leppard and Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Alice Cooper's coming back again. There's just a lot of up-in-the-air shows. I want to see Louder Than Life again. That was one of the most fun weekends I've ever had, and looking forward to it again. They've added another day with Metallica playing Thursday night after they dropped off originally. Hopefully all those are able to happen. But I don't know. We just kind of got to play it by ear and do our part and stay safe, stay clean, and I don't know. Just, I don't know. Stay away from each other for the time being so we can get through this. All right, I don't have much more to say. I'm alone and I suck at talking, so let's just get to the interview with Alexx, Calise, and Dennis Morehouse of the band Batfarm. Well, how are you guys holding up right now with everything going on?
Good. Yeah, as much as you can be. It sucks that we're confined to being at home, but at the same time, it's kind of nice because we don't normally get breaks like this. Yeah. So, what about you?
I technically work for an essential business, so I am still working, but it's weird. It's not a grocery store. I work for a pool company, so I don't know why we're essential, but it's just weird. I feel like I should be home more, and it's kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, it's very bizarre because I have allergies, so now anything you think it's something, you know what I mean? Even though I know I just got allergies.
No, I understand completely.
I've got allergies and asthma, so the two things are just perfect together. So.
Oh no, I'm with you. I have both, and if you have to sneeze in front of someone in your family or whatever, they're like, "You okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine. Just allergies."
yeah, or around other people, like strangers, and they're like, "Oh my god, get away from me!"
Luckily, I know I've been practicing social distancing for the last year or so. So, when I'm not working on stuff, I'm at home working on things, music, or so. It's not too weird for me, except for when I go out and there's no traffic,
which is nice.
Yeah, and actually you can see the sun here now. The smog is gone. There wasn't a lot of smog, but it's noticeable difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there are good things that could come from it. Just hopefully, right now it's the unknown that really is the freakiest part for at least me. I don't know about you guys, but.
Well, I was just telling Alexx is I think that the biggest problem we have right now is no testing, so no one knows who has what, who to be away from, what's going on.
Right.
It's been crazy. If that is the unknown.
Yeah. So, but your family's safe and everything? You guys are all healthy?
Yeah, my wife's a teacher. My kids are in school, so they're all home all day long. And yeah, so far so good. I mean, I'm also where we're at. I mean, like you said, there's no testing. I'm right outside of Iowa. Iowa's 500 tests, period. So
Yeah.
you don't really know who has what, so it's...
Exactly. Well, I mean, I grew up I spent my high school years in outside of Des Moines in a place called Norwalk. That's where I lived.
Really?
Yeah.
What brought you out to L.A.?
I was born in Ohio. And then music. I ended up out here for music.
What age did you head out there?
Well, after I graduated, I went to San Francisco. I was there for quite a while, and then I ended up in L.A. because of my bands were doing well. I ended up in L.A., so that's what brought me out. So I was out of Iowa pretty much after graduation, though. As soon as I could get out.
I don't blame you.
Only because of the music. I mean, and a lot of my friends moved too that were musicians because Iowa was full of some of the best players I've ever played with from the Midwest. You know, I grew up with a lot of great players. You know, because there's not anything to do but practice.
Yeah.
That's so true.
You know, it wasn't like we went to raves or something. And we went to
Right.
we got together and jammed.
Raves in the cornfield.
I mean, people had what I'm talking about, the kegs in the field and stuff. But
I know
but
exactly what you're talking about.
In high school or anything, so I just practiced.
That's awesome. Where did you start out, Alexx?
In Fort Lauderdale. So I moved out to LA, I think it was like 13 years ago now. That's fucking crazy. I can't believe that. Yeah. So, I mean, they're the same deal in a way. There wasn't as much to do. So just mostly practicing. And unlike Dennis, I did the drinking thing. So there wasn't much to do out there. But that's where I grew up.
Where did you guys, what was your first kind of introduction to music? Like bands, was it parents or was it just friends, siblings?
At least with my father, he is a musician as well. He's a really, really good musician. And then my parents have always been, big advocates for the arts in general. So when I was growing up, I would go to a lot of plays. I would go to a lot of concerts. Like I remember going to the Beach Boys with my parents and Natalie Cole and a lot of cool concerts. And then we would just grow up. We grew up listening to all different types of music, like anything from new age, like the Rippingtons, all the way to, really, really super hard rock. So it was very fortunate.
Yeah. With me, my dad played guitar, and then my dad's brother played drums, and my mom's brother played drums. Wow. And my mom's brother was considerably younger than her. So when he was in bands, they used to practice at our house when I was a child. So there was drums around when I was even an infant. So I grew up with music bands practicing at the house when I was a kid. I just grew up playing music, having it around me all the time. So,
do you remember when was there a band or something? Like I remember, for me it was similar. My dad was into music and he liked certain bands, and then it was when I found my band, and then I kind of went down my own lane. Was there ever a moment where it switched, where you just found something new for you that just kind of started to inspire you separately from what you grew up with?
A little bit. I mean, for me, this is going to age me, but for me, it was like Kiss, as a little kid, and I got into Kiss and stuff, but then from there, I actually just played to the radio as a kid. So just music always just inspired me. I would just put on the radio and just put on headphones and just jam on drums. So I don't know if there was a particular band, but there was, bands over the years. But Kiss was one of the bands I remember, just like the rock star thing,
Right.
That was kind of brought me into, I want to be a musician. I want to do this.
What about you, Alexx? Was there a band that kind of started to send you down your own path?
I mean, there were a few of them. I mean, I was really inspired by grunge music growing up. And then I really fell in love with the blues. And that was an interesting path because my parents never really introduced me to that. I just kind of found it. I don't know if you remember, but when, some of the young guns were coming up, like Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Johnny Lang in the 90s, I really got into that. And I really gravitated towards some of the guitarists like that. I would say grunge had a huge effect on me. Silverchair in particular is one of my favorite bands. And I just I really emulated them a lot in terms of their musicality and songwriting.
So when you get out to L.A., I mean, you said music brought you there. What was it like when you got there? I mean, was it scary? Was it exciting?
It was a little of both, because I came out originally just to do some recording. I didn't have any intentions necessarily to move out. And I was just kind of blown away and intrigued by the I guess the allure of like the Sunset Strip. I remember when I first walked onto the Sunset Strip, I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And it's, all of this historical clubs like the Vibe Room and Whiskey A Go Go, and being around that, it was very jarring to me. I went off on a tangent there.
No, that's what he's asking.
Yeah.
It's funny. For me, I had made some connections down here before I moved here, so it was nice. And then I actually had an apartment. A friend of mine was moving to New York, and she's like, "Hey, just take over my apartment. I don't know if I'm going to stay, so just come down and just take it over." So I had it easier to come down and get in here. And then we met on one of your trips, right? Or you living here?
No. We met because, oh my God, this was like, I was chatting before I moved out to LA with one of Dennis's friends before I knew Dennis. His name was Travis, and he was doing some booking at some local clubs in Hollywood. And I started chatting with him on MySpace when that was a thing. And he was just telling me like, oh, you got to come out to LA. And as soon as I did, I started talking with him and trying to book some shows through him. And then I met Dennis through him. And then how we became really close was I ended up going to one of his shows when he was playing for Mark Ford from Black Crowes. And then from that moment on, we were like inseparable.
That's cool.
Yeah, I met her because I was touring a lot at the time, so I just didn't, she was just here before you settled in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just got back from a tour.
Yeah.
And met you at your show, and I was like, she seemed so familiar to me without even knowing her. It was like, oh my God, I already know this girl. and then I went off on the road, and then when I came back, by then you moved back, right? Moved here finally.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, we're jumping questions.
Yeah,
on you. I'm sorry.
I'm enjoying this. It's always fun to kind of hear the journey of how things get together. At what point did you start playing music together?
It was probably almost a year into that, right?
Yeah, because we ended up we were originally in a relationship together. We're not anymore. We haven't been together for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
But we obviously we're best friends now and everything.
Of course. So what happened? We started. I was touring still, so I was playing with Mark Ford. And when I got back, she was trying to get her solo thing off the ground. So I tried to help out a little bit, and before I knew it, I was playing drums with her, and then I was playing basically in her band, her solo project. So that's what got us really tight as musicians, because we would just go jam together, just me and her. It was just play.
Yeah.
So we got really tight and really close as players. A lot. That helped a lot.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, at this point, we've been playing together for 11 years or more?
Yeah.
Or 12 years. So we can read each other unbelievably.
Yeah.
We can anticipate each other's moves on our next move in unbelievable
Which is why
way.
we're a duo now.
Yeah.
But what we did in the meantime, after probably a year or two of playing together.
Yeah.
Of that, I tried to keep it separate because I tried to keep doing my thing. Because I started touring with this guy named Gilby Clark, who was with Guns, and I was playing drums for him for a while. And we just tried to keep it separate. I was just helping out, and then we decided, well, let's write some licensing music. Let's see what we can do. Something for film or television. And every time we wrote something, it kind of sounded like a band. We had a thing together. Our sound, we just ended up just making music, and before we knew it, we had the band we have today. It started off as just kind of a licensing idea, and then we started getting songs together.
I remember.
And it was a lot of music.
Yes.
Well, I remember when I got Alex's solo album, and I absolutely loved it. Turned it to my family; they all loved it. My daughter still listens to it.
Yeah, it was so sweet when you sent me that video of her.
She was gonna sit in on the interview, but she's got really embarrassed when I told her who I was talking to.
How old is she now?
She's 12 now. So it's
12. Oh my God.
yeah, we're getting.
I remember
old.
that video.
Wow.
That was cute. Break Me, right?
I think was it Break Me?
Yeah, it was.
Oh my God.
And then I remember getting the Sound of Cancer album, and which now you're Batfarm, but I was just like, holy cow, this is nothing like that. This is really, really cool too. So it started as basically like, would you say commercial music, or I don't remember what the right word is.
Yeah, no, like licensing, like when people write music
right.
for like a film or television, and it never became that. It became a sound for us because that's how we write. I would write all this music and experiment with guitar sounds and stuff, and Alexx would come in and she'd throw her side into it. It's kind of almost an individual thing. I write my stuff, she'd write her stuff, and then we would like be each other's shit meters. Like she'd be like, I don't like that's not working, or I'd be like, I don't like that's not working, and then together that's what kind of built the thing. And we did all of that whole album in an apartment except for the drums. It was all done in the house.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So
I remember,
and we so appreciate, like, we always reference that article that you wrote about us, like, I don't know how many years ago when the album dropped.
Yeah,
it was such a wonderful endorsement of the band, and like we've used it in press release, or in our press kit and everything. Your quotes, like, we totally appreciate your support from the very beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
well, no, I mean, I'm a fan, and when I heard it, it was like, it's one of those things where when you can't describe it, so you just call it art rock because you don't know.
No, it's true.
That's a huge compliment for us. It's kind of like our passion project that we finally got off the ground. So
Yeah, we didn't play live for ever.
I had to convince him. He was a tough one to convince, because like Dennis is and for it's a good thing. It's a really great quality. Like, he's a perfectionist. He wants everything to be 100% to the T perfect. And, he was concerned about us having technical issues because, basically we're playing the tracks. I mean, like, all the tracks we played ourselves, but getting it right so that it translates live.
Right.
Because, when you hear us now, we've spent enough time perfecting the technical aspects of the show that it sounds like a full band is playing.
Yeah.
But
it's, it was the hardest part for me, more than the perfection side of it, is getting over not being in a regular band. I mean, I played in some industrial bands in the late 90s, but they used tracks, but they also had the guitar players, and so all they really had on tracks was a few keyboards and some sounds, and you know what I mean.
Right.
So to go full live with just Alexx and I, to have a lot of things on tracks was hard to get over myself on it. But then, I started seeing DJs with them just up there with an iPod dancing around on stage, and millions of people don't care. So, so we decided we just wanted to make sure that it was real, though. Like, we don't fake anything on stage. Like, Alexx sings everything. There's no double of her voice where she doesn't have to sing. And we have harmonies, but she sings everything. She plays all her guitar parts. I'm obviously beating the crap out of the drums, but it's real. I mean, every night is different. Even though we have tracks, there's still an energy that's there. So we're able to find the hybrid, I think.
Yeah.
For us.
Well, right, and I mean, I understand. One, just about every band out there plays the tracks anymore. Whether they and it's not always real either when they do it.
But I see a lot of people fake it. Like someone goes up to a microphone and they're not singing, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to find the hybrid of like real rock and roll meets technology,
Right. And
so,
I mean, that was going to be one of my questions: is how do you translate it live? And it looks like you just answered it. But I mean, is it something? I know, obviously, right now touring is not even anybody's thought because we're all
working on actually before this all broke.
Yeah, but
really?
I think actually this has bred some innovation. And I actually just wrote an article about this for this magazine that I write for called Guitar Girl. But I've been seeing like these major platforms are starting to streaming channels and stuff like that for people. And I've been seeing more musicians than ever before streaming concerts.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, we cut you off. What were you going to ask us?
Well, no, I was basically just going to be like, were there ever any plans to kind of do a tour? Or is that even possible in, this day and age with, I don't know, with so many different mediums out there to steal the music and play it on YouTube or stream it like you were saying?
Well, But I think that, like, for us, we seem to. I feel like, you know, our live show, we get a lot. It's a good reaction, and I feel like because of all the streaming stuff, and I think because of all this technology, that it kind of has to go back to grassroots. I mean, you know, this innovations is great, and I think that, you know, we'll take advantage of some of those streaming services, maybe do a concert or something. But there's something about going to the people and playing in front of the people that kind of, I think, is the only way to go. Hopefully, after this ends, that you can really bring people into the experience more. You know,
and I wonder what'll happen after all this is said and done, because people are going to be absolutely starved for live entertainment. You know, we've been noticing, even walking around now, like, we're seeing more and more people, you know, usually it was people being plugged in walking around. Now we're seeing families, like, you know, out walking together and, you know, enjoying some fresh air, and they're wanting to take a break from all of that online content to some degree.
Yeah. I think people might be over it when this ends.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, like not staring at a screen for once. You know, people are going to want to go out and be entertained, and, you know, in a live way.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, I know what you're getting at is the financial side of it. You know, can you afford to get out on the road when you're not making money off your CD sales? And
yeah, that's the hard part. That's why we haven't done any extensive touring just yet.
Yeah.
And I hate to always go that route. I'm an accountant by day, so I can't. I always naturally go to the money. I don't like doing that. I don't mean to, but I know that, you know, one of the things that has changed over the years is that as the technology grows, the accessibility is, you know, everybody's plugged in. You have to be active on social media, and everybody has access to everything. And, you know, a lot of bands that tour, they tour themselves to death, to the point where it's not an event anymore. And I'm hoping that, you know, that could be something that comes out of this, is all of a sudden these are going to be events and something to really start appreciating instead of taking it for granted.
Exactly. I agree. I definitely agree with that, because, yeah, some people, that's their only income, so they're touring so much that you wonder if people are even going to go see them, because, oh, yeah, we'll just catch them next month when they come through town.
Yeah, like, I feel like Seven Dust is one of those bands. Like, they're always playing. I'm like, oh, Seven Dust is here again or something. You know?
It's a new t-shirt tour.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
They got a new t-shirt this year, so they're going to tour again.
Now, I've literally not gone to a Seven Dust show because they come 3 times a year to the Midwest.
Yeah, exactly. And I get it. I totally get it. And they're great musicians and all, but it's exactly
unless
what
you change the experience, people are just going to be like, okay, you know. So, yeah, that's a big challenge, you know. But I do think that, you know, the social media thing kind of gets old.
Yeah.
I mean, to a lot of people. I mean, there's so much inundate in your face that it's hard to stand out, even if you have good music, or if you have, you know, people just give you like a second and they go, okay, move on, you know. And, you know, so what's mostly selling is, not to be crude, but, you know, half-naked women on the internet.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, you see all the influencers. But even that, I think, is starting to get old, you know.
Well, what's been kind of nice, and I was just talking to Dennis about this, like, since the whole COVID-19 crisis and everything, I've seen, like, a lack of interest in celebritydom. And influencers right now, which is such a nice break. You know, just people coming together. I've been seeing a lot of that, and I've been seeing a lot of, like, a complete creative renaissance. You know, I've been seeing so many musicians doing the live streams. I've been seeing so many people pursuing their creative passions and taking things up, like learning a new language or learning how to sew or doing nice things for other people, like making masks for the nurses.
Yeah.
You know, it's been really cool.
It's interesting how it takes a tragedy to bring people together.
Yeah.
Or be creative. Because a lot of people are just bored, so you know, their social, I guess, like, shields are starting to drop.
Yeah.
And so the real personalities of a lot of people are starting to come through on the internet, because you know, it's pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah.
People just being themselves and being weird, and, you know, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. My hairdresser actually just talking to Dennis about this, Jess and Krita. She is now like a news story. Like, her and her boyfriend have been, or her now husband, were so busy or bored during quarantine. They did this really ridiculous thing where it looks like her husband is riding a horse, but really it's just her with her hair pulled forward, So it looks like she's the horse's butt and he's riding the horse. Like, just dumb stuff, but it's very heartwarming, or not heartwarming, but fun and lighthearted,
Well, yeah,
crazy.
it's everybody's, I don't know, and if you just take it back to music, I mean, you look over, and I hate to say that COVID-19's Nirvana, but we've been waiting for Nirvana since Nirvana has been, there hasn't been that band to really change things up. And I don't know that'll ever really happen necessarily. It may, but I don't know. I mean, I guess, what are your thoughts on the state of the music industry? Are we ever going to have that giant band again, or is it going to just kind of be more of a niche thing going forward?
It's weird. Yeah, I don't know if this is ever get. I mean, because they came out and they were the right band at the right time. I mean, everyone was tired of that just polished, 80s pop metal and pop rock. I mean, it was like metal, and they just kind of came out and they were the right band. Because I remember them being in the bars, playing and not really filling the rooms. It just when they had the right medium and it was a perfect storm. I don't know. I'm hoping something like that happens. That it just breaks up a little bit. But right now, there's so many niche music now, and so many different things. I don't even know if they would have had a chance to break the way they've done.
I know,
because they would have been just put in a different genre somewhere on someone's playlist.
Right.
There's so many genres. There's so much, Spotify. And all these other streaming services that are to the point where people just. It's weird. They have access to everything. Before, you had to buy your favorite band's record or CD,
Yeah.
And that still exists some levels, but not like it used to.
No. We were looking up some of these different genres, just because we wanted to do some Spotify playlisting and stuff like that. So we didn't even realize how many different genres there were. We had to look them up. Did you know that there's a genre called escape room? You know what that is, Bob?
I do not.
Neither did we.
What was it? I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it was, I don't know, but it wasn't that different that it needed a name like that. But there's so many. There's Dream Pop, there's Escape Room, there's Candy Pop, and I'm like, can't we just call it rock or pop? Or
It's funny. So we were looking into playlists, and the playlists that were picking us up were all 90s. Everyone feels like we're a 90s band.
Yeah.
Those are the people picking us up because we're not the production of the new record is a little more old school in that way. So people are like, oh, well, that's what you guys are.
Right. And a lot of people in the Spanish speaking countries, because the Spanish speaking countries, especially from what Dennis has learned from touring over there, they're huge into rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, they just, I don't know if they don't get it as regularly as we do, or it seems like some of the Spanish even Europe, it just seems like they appreciate it more than we do in America. I don't know.
They do. They just come out to see music. It's weird. When I was playing with Mark Ford, I remember one of the first shows we played a festival in Holland, and Mark, he was the side guy for, he was one of the guys in the Black Crowes, but
right.
I don't think a lot of people knew him from that, and we played in front of 60,000 people or more. Just walked out. I was like, oh shit, there's a lot of people here. I mean, the whole festival had 100,000 people that day, different stages, and I was like, and they were just there to see music. Half the people on the bill, I didn't even know who they were.
Yeah. And
they were there. It was raining, and they didn't care. They were just in it, Yeah.
If a drop of rain falls out here in the U.S., I don't know if we can make it.
And a lot of it is they don't get a lot of it. An American band we were touring Spain. I mean, every show was packed. Sold out. They just wanted to see live music. They wanted to see American rock and roll.
Well, yeah, I do a lot of interviews, so I'm not meaning to name drop, but I was talking to Billy Sheehan here. He came to a local bar and just played here with the Winery Dogs, the 30 people.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Europe, and he was like, yeah, I mean, Mariah Carey could play one day and Slayer would play the next day, and the same crowd would be at both shows.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. And it's amazing.
Do you're mentioning all the genres. I know back in the day when they started breaking rock and metal up into all these subgenres, you started to see the competition where they, if you liked this band, you had to hate that band. Now that it's so spread out, do you see that competition and negativity as much anymore, or are we just kind of all in our own little world?
Not at all. I mean, we've just recently played a world famous punk bar. I mean, you've heard our album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've been really supportive and nice. Like, and like the band before us was like some hardcore punk band that we played, and the same people, you know, coming in and digging it, buying T-shirts, and that to me is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because I think people do love so many different music that it became more tribalism than it became. At that time, it was more tribalism than it was what people love. I mean, they'd probably go home and put on a Mariah Carey record, but wouldn't tell their friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But now you can just openly be like, yeah, I'm going to go listen to Spice Girls, and then we're going to go see Metallica or Slayer. You know?
And that's what's cool. I mean, I remember in high school, people thought I was weird because I liked, you know, like Korn and Marilyn Manson, but then I would listen to Silverchair, or then I would listen to Kenny Wayne Shepherd, you know, and then I would like, you know, other things like that are even more crazy than that.
Wearing your rave pants.
Wearing my rave pants and my black lipstick. People were like, "You're insane." But I don't know. I think it's like it's so one dimensional. I think to just like one genre of music. Why can't you like more? Why do you have to be, you know, put into a box?
And I think that the streaming, that's something it has done that's positive. It's exposed people to so much music they would have never bought.
Right.
Or could have never heard on the radio. So they're open to so much different stuff. And like, so that's great to hear too, you know, that other bands are experiencing that same thing.
What is the best platform, you know, in terms of supporting artists?
That's tough to say.
Are you talking about like where we would make supporting money wise?
I mean, and you can ignore the question if you want. I'm not trying. I just, you know, I'm always trying to.
We are too.
Do whatever I can to, you know, like when I do it, I try to buy the vinyl and I'll buy the MP3 as well. So I'm essentially buying it twice, and I usually get the comp album as well. But
yeah, of course.
I don't know. Is it Spotify? Is it Apple? Are they just kind of all the same, or is there?
Streaming services are pretty much the same. You make like a 0.000 something of a penny when someone plays your music. So
yeah. So in that regard, we hate all of them. I do find that a lot of people are listening to Spotify. That's a big one. And their playlists specifically, like my good buddy Dan Corey, comic book writer and musician. He
little plug. No.
Yeah, little plug. He always plugs us, so he's such a sweetheart. But yeah, he always seems to be in the know as far as what's going on musically. And he always introduces me to all these cool bands. And I'm like, where are you hearing about these people? And he's like, oh, like a Spotify playlist. You know, so I think that's where a lot of people are learning about new things.
Yeah, it's becoming, the Spotify playlists, I guess, are becoming like radio station.
Yeah.
You know, a certain guy, and that's what happened. That's what we were pushing our music to different guys. And like, well, we love your band, but it doesn't fit my playlist. So they're kind of doing it more like radio stations where you go on and you listen to a certain kind of genre, and then they play a lot of those bands, you know, and then you get to get exposed to other bands that you like. But you know, then I think a lot of people listen to Amazon because they have Amazon Prime, so they get free music that way.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah, there's so many, and like Google Play has it as well.
but I do think the playlists are what a lot of people are getting new music from, you know, because they don't have to go look for it, you know.
What is your preferred way to listen to music? Are you still an album guy? Are you a playlist guy? Or
I like Spotify, even though I don't like everything that they stand for, how they pay their artists, but I do like them because some of the playlists are very cool, and I love that they do these things called like Rewind at the end of the year. So they do these little compilations of all the most played songs of the year for you that you listen to. So I go back to that all the time. I'm like, oh, I remember these songs from 2017, or, you know. So I like that part about it. And then they also have like a lot of great podcasts on there. So yeah, Spotify is probably my favorite. Or YouTube. I do a lot of YouTube as well.
Yeah, I don't listen to as much music as I should, because I do a lot when I'm creating.
right.
You know, I'm doing a lot of music. So when I'm not, I'm like listening to talk stuff or whatever. I don't listen to a lot of music that often. I need that break when I'm not making it.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I mean, I feel like I'm getting to that age where I'm not searching it out like I used to, and I have my albums. I like to listen to it beginning to end. I have a hard time. I don't know. You get so much of it that it's hard to pick and choose what you listen to anymore, and I don't know if I'm just kicking and screaming, holding on to. I want to listen to the album beginning to end. I don't want to mix it up. But you're right. It's better for artists that way, though. That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, sometimes I'll go through my list of albums that I have or stuff, and I'll actually play the whole album in my head. I'm like, I'm in the mood. But when I do just put it on, I love it.
Right.
But sometimes you can kind of talk yourself out of, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's not comfortable to listen to new stuff,
Some stuff. But, I mean, there's been a few bands that have inspired us, too, like,
AWOL Nation.
Like AWOL Nation. Like, when I first heard them, I was like, oh, shit. And got me inspired again. Like, oh, here's somebody doing something kind of cool, They're doing a lot of integrating of some cool music, and they have, and for us, Alexx and I like the pop sensibility, and I mean that in any band. Like, I think Alice in Chains had a pop sensibility. They wrote a good hook along with really cool style of music, and that's, I think, what we want to do is have our own style, but still keep a hook in mind. And I mean, even Black Sabbath had hooks,
Oh yeah.
So I really like the idea of like they had a great pop sensibility, and they combined a lot of different music together. And then every so often a band like that pops up, and then it inspires me again. Oh, yeah, cool. I'll listen to them.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying. Every now and then you just hear that, all of a sudden it just clicks. As soon as you hit play the first time, it's like, wow, that caught me off guard. Mm-hmm. And that's a great feeling. In terms of, writing, you kind of mentioned, wanting your own sound, but, wanting the hook. Where is there ever a point where you like something, but you're like, well, this doesn't have its, this sounds like something else, so I don't want to do it, or do you just kind of go with it? I mean, do you have rules within the band?
We either like it or we don't. We don't judge it like, oh, well, this isn't weird enough,
Right.
I don't. This is a problem I have since I'm not. I mean, I can play guitar, I play bass, I play little keyboards, but I don't do it well enough that I can really mimic anybody. So even when I try to do something, I just miss the point, which is kind of helpful. Which is helpful. I'm like, I'll play something for Alexx. I wrote something I feel like is a little. Sometimes I'll play something for her. I'm like, I think it's a little too pop, and she'll go, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Sounds like a death waltz.
So. That's kind of been helpful to me. It kind of creates the sound that we have. We're not really – I don't think we're really trying to be different. I just think because of the way we approach music, it kind of turns out different. But without being totally – we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. So there's just a lot of influences that we're kind of throwing together. So you may be able to go, that kind of reminds me of this, or that kind of reminds me of that, but not the whole song doesn't remind you of one particular band, I hope.
No, I agree completely.
But it's not like a purposeful thing that we're like so trying to be different. It just what comes out of us, and it just happens to work,
Well, it seems like you guys kind of have like a blank canvas. I mean, I don't even feel like you sound like yourselves have to. It just seems like you're always kind of expanding your sound, and I think that's what's really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, no, it's just blank canvas constantly. Like I just kind of throw something against the wall and see what sticks, and then we just go from there. Sometimes Alexx will come to me with a completed melody idea with some chord changes, and then I just go and just make it weird, just because that's what's coming out of me. It just inspires me. Or I'll come up with all this music, and Alexx comes in and goes, "Oh my god, I have this idea," and you start singing over it, And then sometimes we'll throw lyric ideas, but most of the lyrics are hers. That's her art.
Is that challenge? I mean, that seems to me as I play a little bit, but I could never writing lyrics seems to be the most intimidating thing, and for me, how was that something you had to ever struggle with, or did you just always naturally have that?
I've been a writer, first and foremost my entire life. I've been, I wrote my first story when I was in kindergarten. So, that's always been my first love, even before music. So, I mainly took up music as a way to kind of facilitate my writing. And kind of give it a voice. So the lyrics, thankfully, they come pretty naturally to me. But it's funny because that was actually first before anything else.
Yeah. She wrote most of the lyrics on a lot of this, most of the stuff. I mean, lately we've kind of collaborated a little bit, but it hasn't been like she comes up with the 99.9% of it. Like sometimes I'll be like, I want the concept to be kind of like this, and then she'll be like, okay, cool, and then kind of roll with it. But that's mostly, like I said, it comes. She's got the words. I just hit things and make noises.
Well, there's a little more to it than that, but he's fantastic with that and arranging and just coming up with these soundscapes that are. I'll just listen. He'll play back an idea to me, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? How did you do that? Or I'm like, what is this monstrosity that you put together? You know. But he's so good at that stuff.
It's my drug. I don't do drugs, never have. So I just write music that people
sounds
do.
Like
people do drugs.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What else you guys? I mean, is there anything else you guys are promoting or you want to plug or go any other lanes you want to go down before I let you go?
Have we got none left yet?
I know, right?
No. But I don't know. Go buy our stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. No, we're working on a lot of different stuff right now. Dennis is actually he's becoming pretty damn good at stop motion and After Effects and a lot of these different programs. So he's right now working on a music video for one of our songs.
Now that you're gone.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Now that you're gone, which I think you probably or you may remember that one because it was originally on the Sound of Cancer record.
Right. Yeah, we did an acoustic version of it and then redid it kind of more orchestrated version on the new record.
Yeah.
The new record, there's a lot more up-tempo stuff in the new record, but, we kind of wanted to balance it out with the first one because we're going to probably redo some of those as Batfarm. We do them live. We do a lot of those songs off that record live, off of Sound of Cancer's record.
That's very cool.
Like Love, we do, Need Someone, some of those songs like that. The trippier ones, so it kind of balances out our set list. So we'll get back to some more of those kind of trippy songs. As far as us, like we were hoping to be promoting a tour, but obviously that's not going to happen.
No.
But we are thinking about doing some live streams coming soon. We're working on an acoustic set to kind of do some fun versions of our songs, and then we might even put a full concert on, lights and everything. Figure out a way to do that in our studio.
Yeah, so that you can finally see us live, Bob.
Well, someday I'll leave Iowa.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to come there with, the viruses and take over the world.
Yeah.
The apocalypse.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That your, post-utopia, your Mad Max world when it goes down.
Well, I thought we were all going to be wearing these cool post-apocalyptic outfits, and now we're all just wearing hoodies and pajama pants. It's a little disappointing.
Oh, yeah. My friends are like, hey, we're in a movie. I'm like, if we're in a movie, it's the most boring movie ever. No one's turning into a zombie. Nobody's, it's just...
Yeah, totally. It's just...
We're just at home waiting.
But it does remind me of, like, the beginning of every apocalyptic movie, like, that, where they start off where it's not a big deal. They're like, oh, yeah, the little virus broke out. And then, it's just kind of spread. And then, then it's a massive spread. And then all of a sudden it's, like, half the population.
Well, it would be far more interesting if people were actually zombies.
Well, they were zombies before on their phones.
True. Yeah, that's very true.
We've actually woke people up finally.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as I just our record, we're hoping to get some new music out this summer. We've been working on a lot of new stuff, so
awesome.
Hopefully that will happen.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. And I mean, if it gets to the point where you are touring and you do come out in this, within a 3-hour radius, I don't care. Just let me know, and I'll do whatever I can to get people there.
What's your closest city? I mean, you're on the border of obviously Iowa and Indiana, right?
No, Iowa and Illinois. We're basically Davenport's the main city, but I mean, and nothing comes here. So you got Chicago 3 hours away, Peoria 2 hours away, Des Moines 3 hours away.
Yeah.
So I'm right in the middle of everything. I think the one time we got a couple of rock concerts the last few years, but for a while it had gone dead for like 2 years, and then Hailstorm came, and then Heart decided to come the same exact day. So it was Heart and Hailstorm.
Oh, no.
Like, the 2010 version of Heart is at the same time.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I remember. I played Davenport once. It was fun. I like Davenport. I was on tour when I lived out here, so it wasn't an Iowa tour.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, no, I want to go back out to the Midwest. I mean, it feels at home when I'm out there. I don't want to live there again. No offense, but I love it. I love the feel. I'm so glad I grew up there. I mean, just the energy that I got to have and to bring out here, you know?
Yeah, I've never come across somebody from the Midwest that I didn't like.
Well, no, it's just, I'm glad you guys, you know, my parents were much less, I don't want to say they weren't supportive, but because they wanted me to practice and be good, but they were, you know, it was always, I mean, that's why I'm an accountant, basically, instead of following the rock
At least
and
you're
roll
making
dream.
money.
I mean, it kind of, either way, you know, it's, you know, but it's, I don't know, it's really fun to get to talk to and, you know, kind of get to halfway know, even via social media, you guys, and it's just, I don't know, it's an honor to have you on the show. I love your bands. I love pretty much everything I've heard you do, and I don't know if there's anything else you want to promote, or otherwise I can let you guys go for the night.
That's cool.
I think that's pretty much it. We're just trying to navigate through all this COVID-19 stuff and try to, you know, make the most of it and create as much as we can while we can. So.
Yeah. Well, we are going to be working on a coloring book, I think.
Yes. Yeah, we are actually. Dennis is very, very creative with that kind of stuff, so I'm going to make him do it.
That's awesome.
So that way your kid will have a coloring book, a Batfarm coloring book.
Well, now she's 12. I don't know.
No.
My son's younger, though.
I still color, though. When I get to a restaurant and they have those little, you know, the plates with grand, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Bats and crafts.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Bob. And I think, like, you know, when all of this Corona stuff blows over, we'll have to stop in Davenport.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, in the cities, for sure.
Just let me know anywhere nearby, and I'll be there.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
It's been great to actually talk to you. It's nice to have a taste of the Midwest again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, and please tell your daughter hello, too.
I definitely will.
Okay. Well, next time maybe she'll feel better and come on and say hello.
Yeah, next time.
Got it.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you so much, Bob.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll be broadcasting